Hey guys, welcome to the Musings of Maverick channel, where I'm your host Maverick, and today we're going to be starting a new series for the season, and that is Yakusoku no Neverland, or as it's known in English, The Promised Neverland. So, this is another series where I have no knowledge about. I've read the synopsis a little bit, and so apparently it deals with a bunch of orphans, and there's a bigger conspiracy involving them, and I guess that's about it. I do know that it's been adapted from a manga. The manga itself is highly rated, and the genres are horror, mystery, sci-fi. So, typically not stuff which I would watch, although, again, here I'm watching it mainly because of its good reputation. So, hopefully, compared to another series this season, which is horror and mystery, Boogie Pop, it will be a little bit more coherent in the first episode so we can get a better sense of what is going on. And when I'm talking about reputation, I'm not only talking about the source material, but also the people behind it as well. So the production studio for this is actually Cloverworks, who made, among other things, Darling in the Franxx and Bunny Girl Senpai. So at least we know that their animation skill is at a good enough level, right? And also, the director for this series is going to be Kanbei Mamoru. So this is a director who did stuff such as Bacano and Elfen Lied and Sora no Ota and some other stuff as well. So definitely a highly regarded anime director as well. And I also went over the cast of voice actors, seiyus. They're all big names. So it seems to me that this series has a lot of production value behind it as well. The source material is good, so why not give it a shot? And hopefully, I will like this series. And as always, my videos will always be broken down into three parts. I will have a recap or an introduction at the very beginning, the blind commentary and reaction in the middle with the actual episode, and then finally I will have my closing thoughts and review at the end. All of them will be timestamped down below, so you can just click to whichever part that interests you. So, I think that has been enough talking, and let us get into the episode. So, beginning in 3, 2, 1, play. Nice camera perspective change. I like how it did the out of focus, in focus thing. You know, those green eyes are kind of creepy. Look like an alien there. Mom. Giraffe? Okay, and I assume this is the opening. I'm gonna have to mute the audio here since I don't want to get copyright struck. So bear with me for a little while. I will look at the. I will go for the opening once just to see if there's anything interesting. And by the way, this track is great. I'm really digging this track. This opening right now. This looks more like a prison. Red lines of fate? Red strings of fate? Oh, no, never mind. Fireworks. Oh, the opening is by Uberworld. Alright. They're a pretty prominent rock band in Japan. Did a lot of anime works as well. Alright, nice, nice. The opening is already one of my favorites this season. Alright, European style housing. $20.45. Okay, so this is in the future. Oh wait, the main character is a girl? Alright. Emma, okay. Emma, eh? Norman and Ray. These two are the ones at the very beginning, right? Okay, so these guys are 11. Okay, seems very wholesome so far. A bunch of orphans. 38. I mean, I'm assuming they're orphans. Because that's what I read in the synopsis. And numbered, so yeah. Like I said, combined with the opening, it definitely already gives me a sort of prison vibe. Along with these, like, kind of serial numbers, right? What? Oh, those aren't barcodes. I was like, why are they scanning barcodes? Hmm. Perfect scores. Free at the beginning. Right, some exposition. Why are you guys all hiding at the same place? You guys suck at tag.
ドンの弱点はすぐに決めつけて熱くなるとこ。
Is this actually tag or hide and seek?
だってノーマンだもん。
あと生き残ってるのはエマ。
Emma? Alright. And this is the athletic one, right? Should you be running and jumping around in a skirt? That was a huge leap, by the way.
Noman! エマの弱点は優しいところ。
また捕まっちゃった。もうなんで。悔しい。
問題。ノーマンにあってエマにないものは？
計画性、落ち着き、圧倒的頭の良さ。
戦略だ。確かに。単純な身体能力なら。
I was thinking of cunning, but I guess strategy also the same.
半端ない。鬼ごっこはまさに戦略を競う遊びなんだ。
鬼ごっこが？
体をフルに使ったチェスみたいなもんだ。そうだろ、ノーマン。
まあね。でもレイは僕なんかよりずっと作詞だよ。
買いかぶんな。
敵の手を読むってことか。
でも
Tactician.
ママに比べたら
So one is strategy, one is tactics, and then one is brute force. Is that how we're gonna go?
また熱くなってる。
Hmm? What did you notice? That was a nice use of silence.
Oh. 僕の負けだ。
絶対に近寄ってはダメよ。
ってママいつも言ってるよね。門と森の奥の柵だけは危ないからって。
あんなの嘘に決まってるだろ。
嘘ってどういうこと？
だって見ろよ。これのどこが危ないって言うんだ。柵も低いし、危ないものは何も見当たらない。
でもママがそう言うんだから。
お前、ママが大好きだもんな。
それはみんなだって。
おい、やる気あんのかよ、お前ら。
あれ、もうおしまい？
今日はもうよそう。あんまり遅いとママが心配するし。
いつか出てくんだな、こっから。
ここ孤児院だよ。
Yeah, an orphanage.
当然。12歳までにね。
I wonder if this is like post-apocalyptic
届かないよね。
or...
手紙？ほら、ハウスを出て行って誰一人よこさないじゃない。
そりゃ里親に遠慮する気持ちもあるだろうし。
でも俺たち生まれてからずっと一緒なんだぞ。血は繋がってないけど本当以上の兄弟だろ。
きっとハウスのことなんて忘れちゃうぐらい毎日楽しいことでいっぱいなのね。だったらいいじゃん。嬉しいよ私。私も早く外へ出たい。
Alright, so once they're adopted, they don't write back.
今これ一種類だけだよ。
This reminds me of a
信じられないくらいのたくさんの種類の服が。
movie. I forgot what the movie was called, but basically they were clones and then harvested for their organs.
いや、そうい
外に出たらまず生きていかなきゃな。
重いよレイ。エマは？
私
キリンに乗りたいだろ。
そうだっけ。私は別に出て行きたくない。ずーっとここにいたい。
なんかそれずるくない？
だって今幸せだしね。
幸せか。
Really?
書くね。手紙いっぱい書く。みんなのこと絶対忘れない。私ハウスを出たらママみたいなお母さんになるの。それでね、絶対に子供を捨てたりしないの。コニーはママが大好きだもんね。
Hmm.
私トロいし、みんなみたいに優秀じゃなかったけど、ハウスを出ても頑張る。この子がいるから大丈夫。
コニー。
Okay, so already they're jumping to when she was adopted.
やっぱり行きたくない。ここにいたいよ。
コニー。
Hmm. And then she never writes back, right?
ママ、それ何の歌？
Definitely creepy. Oh, she forgot her little bunny.
コニー？嘘でしょ？早く掃除済ませようね。それもう行っちゃったよ、コニー。どうしよう。
まだ間に合う。さっき窓から門に明かりがついてるのが見えた。ママも戻ってきてないし、まだコニーは出発してないと思う。
急ぐよエマ。
So these three are going? I guess? No, only two? This is where they discover something isn't right, right?
絶対に近寄ってはダメよ。
わかってる。後で一緒に叱られよ。
コニー。
Oh man. These echoing sounds.
かなっていうか初めて見た車。
誰もいない。
This is ominous.
わかるかな。
そうだね。
What's going on? Was she killed? Oh damn.
誰かいるのか。おい、今声がしなかったか。気のせいだろう。
The bunny. Yeah, yeah, get the bunny.
野良猫なら捕らえて食ったのに。
お前猫なんて食うのかよ。
Mm.
品だぞ。俺たちごときに手の届く代物じゃない。
Holy crap.
全部金持ち向けの高級品なんだぜ。
Meat?
グプナは大方終わりました。また6歳。このところ波の出荷が続いているが、ようやく上物以上収穫できるな。イザベラ。
300, 300, 300.
息子は3匹も出荷できるよう仕上げてるぜ。
That's the mom, right?
待て、何かにおう。
Oh, damn. Okay, so they got out. How did they get out?
ここは農園。私たちは食料。違う。みんなは里子に。ママはいつもの優しいママだよね。違うよね。あの子コニーじゃなかったよね。
But man, these kids are smart. Like, 11-year-olds, and knowing not to scream, knowing to get the heck out of there. Although you guys better get back quick.
どうだった？間に合わなかった。
Oh, they're not gonna tell him?
私たちずっと食べられるために生きてきたの。
逃げようエマ。ここを出るんだ。大丈夫。きっと逃げられる。エマとレイと僕3人なら。
無理なのかな。置いていけない。ここに残せば確実に殺される。これ以上家族が死ぬのは嫌だ。
無理じゃない。
Okay, so they're gonna stay and fight?
大丈夫。逃げよう。みんなで一緒に。
どうやって私たち子供だけであんな化け物から。戦略だ。鬼ごっこと一緒。
そう。見つけるんだよ。僕らが生き残る方法を。
Oh my holy crap. That scared me. Holy crap. Man. Ah. Right, again I'm gonna have to mute the ending song. Oh man, that sudden scene change in the end. Holy crap. Okay, so again, I'm gonna take a look at the ending to see if there's anything specific here. I think that ending there could constitute as a jump scare, because immediately before it they were using some very nice sounding BGM, you know, showing their resolve and whatnot, and then suddenly silence, and then that image there. Alright, doesn't look like there's anything after the ending. And that was episode 1 of the Promised Neverland. And holy cow, that did not go where I thought it was going. I had a little bit of idea of what it was, that there was an orphanage and there's a conspiracy in regards to orphans in there, right? But I did not expect full-on monsters to appear, and also for them to essentially, give the plot twist in the very beginning of the, well, not the very beginning of the episode, but it is the first episode, so the very beginning of the series, right? I didn't expect them to show their hand this quickly, and also show us exactly how brutal the situation was. And also, that very end where the camera panned back to the mom, Isabella, man, my heart must have skipped a beat there. That was that was some disturbing imagery right there. I don't know why. It just looked very creepy, her face. Uh so let's go through this one by one first. So let's talk about the setting a little bit. So essentially, this is a series where there's an orphanage, and the people raised in the orphanage are being raised for slaughter. In this case, to be eaten by the rich monsters, I assume. And also, I'm assuming that the monsters and humans don't have, like, they're not of the same race or species. Like, those aren't like evolved humans or something. I'm going to still think of them as monsters and the others as humans. So this kind of setting reminded me of a movie called The Island, which was a blockbuster from a whiles back. A whiles back. It's not exactly very highly regarded, but it was enjoyable for me nonetheless, and it deals with something of the same situation, right? And so for me, I'm not sure if it's because I already read the synopsis before, but I definitely felt something was off right from the beginning of the episode. And then once they got to where they're saying that people who leave the orphanage never contact back again, bam, immediately my thoughts were going to the island and that they were being raised for slaughter. In that case, it was organs. In this case, it is for even more straightforward food. So it's not exactly an entirely new premise, but still, it's definitely, I guess the twist you could say is that there's monsters here. Although actually, if it was humans eating humans, that might make it even more morbid in a way, I guess. Uh, so let's, and also, because right now they have made the decision that they want to save all 38 of the orphans, so it's going to be a, us versus them situation, right? So it's 38 kids versus the mom, and it appears from the opening that there's another caretaker type of person that's also here. So it definitely gives me a vibe of Assassination Classroom, actually, where everybody needs to work together in order to achieve a goal, and that is to overthrow their, I guess, superior supervisor, guardian figure, something like that. And yeah, so in Assassination's Classroom's case, it was everybody working together, but there were some main characters, right? People who we mostly focus on. And so that brings us to the next topic, and which is in regards to the characters, especially the three main characters. I'm assuming three main characters: Emma, Norman, and Ray. So they all have their own strengths, right? Emma is the one who's athletic but also has good learning ability. Ray is the one with the intellect. He's always reading, so he has a lot of knowledge that can. He's like a walking encyclopedia, basically. And then Norman is the one with who's being called a genius, so he has innate ability to figure things out. And then they need to combine all of their powers in these respective areas in order to combat Isabella. Because as they mentioned within the episode, Isabella is better than all three of them at all these things. So they need to combine together in order to have a chance. The dynamic is going to be interesting, especially in Ray's case, who is the more, I guess, pessimistic kind of guy, or more realistic kind of guy. I definitely wonder if he already had some inkling that this was happening, because he didn't seem to be very shocked at all. And speaking of shock, one thing I really liked how they portray it is they do portray them as being smart kids, right? So they knew immediately, hey, there's somebody coming, we need to hide, and we can't leave behind any incriminating evidence, although in the end they still did. And then they also had the good sense to not shout or scream, right? Even though at that kind of age 11, probably they wouldn't have that good control over their motions. But since the series is trying to portray them as better than average, so I guess it makes sense that way. So we're going to be seeing some pretty smart and useful protagonists, right? And that's always a plus. They do also keep on panning to their serial numbers, so and we can also make sense of what their serial numbers are, the complete serial numbers within a few other scenes. But I'm not sure if there's any significance to it. I don't really see why they need to keep referencing them. They do have some similarities, like they all end, at least for the three main characters, all end in 194. But as far as I can see, it's not something to do with their age, and it's definitely not something to do with their intellect as well. So, nah, not quite sure what that is, but I guess something to keep an eye on. And so, speaking of this brings me to the third part, right? And that is, this is tagged as mystery, but right now I'm struggling to think of what the mystery actually is, since they already revealed it. I'm guessing that maybe what they want to do is then explain more as to like where these monsters came from and why do they need to eat these humans. Now, my theory right now is actually that these monsters are aliens, right? Since this is set in a more futuristic world, and also since this has a sci-fi tag, so I'm going to assume that this is something to do with aliens, especially since some of the technology that they're using, even though it is in the future, doesn't seem to be very Earth-like, right? And the language they use as well, the writing they use. So that's my theory for now. It could be something else entirely, like it could be mutated humans or whatnot, but I guess we'll learn more in the upcoming episodes. Also, I'm kind of confused as to why they can't leave. So I'm assuming that this is going to be immediately explored in the next episode, since they already made the decision that they are going to escape. They probably need to also give some exposition as to why they can't just run out into the forest. Like, why do they have to go through that gate? Is there like an entire wall encircling? Because I don't see it, not in any of the shots. So I think that's something that's going to be resolved pretty quickly in the next episode. Also, the anime apparently uses a lot of red flowers and white flowers, although I can't really make sense of what significance that has either. So especially since not only in the endings and openings, but also throughout, like for instance on Connie's body, there was a red flower, or a bunch of red flowers sticking out, which was being picked by Isabella. So what does that have to do with anything? Probably it has some significance. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep referring back to that. But in any case, this first episode, there's really not much to go on. It's pretty much just told us directly the biggest mystery that we can know of so far, and that is, what is this place? What's going on? But I assume we're going to get some more clues which we can use to infer things in the future. So, what do I think of this episode so far and this series so far? It's definitely interesting to me, and I do like that they jumped into the action right away. They told us the conflict right away, and so we can immediately start to get into the story. And also, the usage of sound is something that should be applauded as well. Like, they really nailed the silence horror aspect of this. And the BGM, when there was one, was also pleasant to listen at. And definitely the opening. The opening is a big highlight for me. That was a very good song, actually. And I'm gonna have to see if it's on Spotify or something later. And that was great. And also, I really dig the facial expressions that we see within this first episode. So it really properly conveys the feelings like fear or disgust or those kind of things, especially when they were hiding beneath the truck. And also, again, at the very end, when they pan back to Isabella holding the stuffed toy of Connie. Like, oh man, that face is something of nightmares, I'm telling you. So, yeah, these three parts, I mean, it's definitely a well animated series. Although there were some parts where people were talking and then the mouths weren't moving, but I feel like that's overall a minor complaint. I am definitely intrigued, and I do want to learn more about this series. It definitely piques my attention much better than Boogie Pop did for the first two episodes. Although I will try to continue that one as well. And this is apparently going to be a battle of wits, right? A battle of intellect. So that's also something that I really like as well. In fact, the dynamic seems to be. I'm really curious how they're going to go forward with this dynamic, right? So it seems that Isabella, she has some suspicion that somebody knows of them, right? Knows of the operation. Somebody knows the whole entire secret, but who, right? So that's something that she wants to figure out. Whereas the other kids are going to try and escape without Isabella noticing. So it's going to be a sort of battle of wits and back and forth in that kind of manner. So definitely that seems to be something that's going to be interesting. So, anyways, in conclusion, this has been a great episode. I feel like the premise is interesting, and it's definitely, the production quality is definitely there. So I will be continuing to watch the second episode and see what is going on. So, yeah, I guess that about sums it up. Again, this has been Musings of Mavry. I'm your host, Mavry, and I'll see you guys next time.